Hello everyone, it's Jenifer Miller for Jesse James Beads, and today we're going to be making a pair of earrings using some of the beads and components from the Magical Mystery Bead Box for the month of October called First Frost. The first thing that we're going to use is we need 4 of the little 4mm rounds and 2 of the cubes from the Autumn Pass Bead Mix. The next thing we're going to need is from the First Frost Bead Mix. We're going to need 1 of the round frames, 1 of the rondelles, and 1 of the bead caps. The next thing you're going to need is I made a pair of ear wires using some 20 gauge German style wires, but you can use any of the ear wires you have in your stash. Also, I am going to be using 4 inches for each earring, and this is 22 gauge German style wire. For tools, you're going to need a pair of chain nose pliers, an optional bent nose pliers, you're going to need some round nose pliers, you're going to need some flush cutters, and a pair of nylon jaw pliers if you make your own head pin, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make a match to this one earring that I already made using the knotted head pin that I made with the rondelle and with the bead cap along with the frame and some beads in between. We're going to make a wire wrap loop at the top and then attach our ear wire. The reason why I chose to make my own head pin is because I like the 22 gauge wire to go through all of the beads and the frame. Another reason is I didn't have a long enough head pin. Another reason is I'm not sure if my head pins are going to be long enough, so I thought I would err on the side of caution and go ahead and make my own head pin. To get started, you're going to want a nice flush cut on the end. You're going to add your wire to the very tippy tip of your round nose pliers, and then you're going to just start rolling and turning until the start of this little coil right here, the very end, is at the end here, and you've got 2 solid wraps. You're going to bend your wire up while you have your coil still nested in your round nose pliers. Then you can remove them. The next thing I need to do is take this wire and pass it back through the coils that I just made. This is where the nylon jaw pliers come in handy. So I'm going to grab my chain nose pliers, grab my nylon jaw pliers, and I'm just going to pull all the way through until I have a nice rosette. Now, what I like to do is I like to go ahead and just smush that down. And I do that so that I know that it's going to lay nice and flat. Now all we need to do is add all of our beads. The first bead we're going to add is our little rondelle. We're going to add our bead cap. Doesn't that look pretty? Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the frame. There's a little hole on either side of the frame, and we're going to pass that through. So now I want to add my green, one of my little tiny green beads. Going to add my cube bead. Now I need to add my last round bead. Now that I have that last round bead, I need to pass that through the other end. And there's our earring. With my chain nose pliers up against here, I want to make sure everything's all nice and straight. Now I don't want a long neck, and this is 22 gauge wire, so it's not as thick as the 20 gauge. So I'm going to be close to the tippy tip, give it that 90-degree angle bend. I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers and form over the top barrel. Push that wire to the back, and now just get that all nice and centered and ready for wrapping. Going to add my chain nose pliers to the loop, not where the wires are crossing. I just want to lock that in place. And now I'm going to make 3 wraps. And since this is long, I could just use my fingers. You can also use your bent chain nose pliers. I come in, give that a good flush cut. I'm going to bring in my chain nose pliers and just tuck in that little end so it's nice and neat. I take a look at my loop, and if I feel like it needs to be adjusted a little, I just reinsert my round nose pliers and just give it a little bit of a bend. Now it's time to add my air wire. I'm going to bring in my bent chain nose pliers and add my air wire. And here we have our pair of earrings using some of the beads and components from the First Frost Bead Mix and the Autumn Pass Bead Mix from the First Frost Magical Mystery Bead Box for the month of October from Jessie James Beads. I hope this video can give you some inspiration, and cannot wait to see what everybody else makes up. Be sure to post all of your pictures of your pieces that you make using #Magical Mystery Bead Box so we can all see them.